Greetings YouTube and welcome to a video that I never really thought I was going to make because you see, I've had this request for a long time and it is so overwhelming for me to try to plan one of these videos out. When I do these strategy videos especially, I have pages and pages of notes. I have pro-con lists, I have abilities lists, I have kind of the best, the worst, the in-between, and the video I've been asked to do for, over a year since I started my channel is, Prof, talk about what some of the best underrated champs are for certain nodes in Alliance War. Because unlike a lot of people in my position who've been playing this game for 3 years, there are a lot of people who don't have the top tier defenders, but they're in alliances that still need good defenders to get kills. So I was thinking about a node that I think impacts every tier in at least one setting, even if it's a mini boss. And that is the unblockable special 1 node. And so I've decided that instead of being super overwhelmed because I try to think about doing all these champs on different nodes and the video is going to be like 30 minutes long, and I don't want any video to be past 15 minutes on my channel if I can help it. Your time is so valuable. It is my job to be efficient with my way of words so that I can get you the most information possible without wasting your time. So with that being said, I've started a new series on my channel for the unblockable special 1 node for volume 1, but this is going to be as many Alliance War nodes as possible every once in a while, and champs that are underrated and underappreciated, sneaky good champs, if you will, for that specific node. So we're not going to talk about Medusa or MODOK or Killmonger, right? We're not going to talk about any top tier defender, not Iceman, not OG Spider-Man, not Nightcrawler. We're not talking about any of those. Iron Man Infinity War. We're talking about champs that a lot of people have and maybe aren't utilizing the best on this node, but can to get 1 or 2 sneaky kills in. So, as always, for discussing as many champs as possible, I am going to use my 3-star roster because that is my most vast roster of resources. I also want to say, if you want to help me out, I always appreciate your help. Whoever I don't have time to get to or just flat out miss, please comment below and let me know, because I'm always looking to do follow-up videos to make sure I'm not leaving anyone out, because I don't want to make that mistake. I want to get as much information and the best information to YouTube possible, especially those that have just started this game and need all the help they can get. So, without further ado, let's talk about the unblockable special 1 node and some underrated, super sneaky good champs that you could use on that node. We're going to go class by class on this. So we're going to start at the top left with the Science class. Now, believe it or not, one of the Science champs that makes for a good unblockable special 1, especially when you're starting out, is Quake. Now, Quake has a decently long animation with this, and if you're like me, you've gotten used to dodging it. But when Quake first came on the scene, I would get so wrecked, especially if I would try to intercept her and then she would pull the special 1, because not only are you taking a decent amount of damage, but you're also getting charges that are going to turn into aftershocks, and when they stun you, you're going to probably get hit and die for the remainder of the fight. So, Quake, so underrated. Now, believe it or not, I was very tempted to, at the very middle of this thumbnail, for the unblockable special 1, put Spidey Gwen, just to troll all the haters that even in my Stan Lee videos still call for clickbait. Like every single video is clickbait. So I was like, all right, trolls, here's something to feed with you. Spidey Gwen, spam the unblockable special 1 until you die. But I have not. However, if you think I should retroactively change the title, or not title, excuse me, but thumbnail to include Spidey Gwen in the middle, maybe I'll retroactively do that because, sometimes it's just to have fun. Okay, but besides Spidey Gwen, the unblockable special 1 champ that I want to focus on, that a lot of people have, even as a 6-star but aren't utilizing, is Yellow Jacket. Now, Yellow Jacket has a decently long special 1 animation, and we know, even unawakened, that if you get clipped by this, you have the inability to use specials with the Power Sting, or else you're going to drain a considerable amount of health. And when awakened, if you don't use a special, you're going to get stunned, and that could cause you to die with a multiple combo. So, I have seen Yellow Jacket unblockable special 1 wreck so many people. And I just want to say, if you are looking for someone in your alliance on that node, Yellow Jacket is a great choice that a lot of players seem to have. For some reason, the random number generator likes to give Yellow Jacket pretty early on in so many summoners' experiences in the game. Now, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to fly through this. I think I'm going to spend most of the time on the tech class. I'll explain why in a sec. But we're going to go to the skill class, and we're going to talk about a champion that personally I hate because I think he sucks, but he gets some love in this case, and that is Mr. Falcon himself. Falcon has kind of a tricky special one that you easily can get wrecked by and take some bleed damage when you are fighting an alliance war. Falcon doesn't have much usage, but in this case, he is worth mentioning as a sneaky good, underrated defender. Similarly, not to the same degree, but worth noting, I want to talk about Agent Venom. See, Agent Venom's tenacity, because when you parry and you try to stun Agent Venom, he can instantly shrug off debuffs, and if you're not used to this, sometimes you can get wrecked pretty fast. So what I've seen on the unblockable special one is Agent Venom be placed, and then you parry Agent Venom thinking that you're going to go in for a counter. When you counter, shrugs it off in time to counter you, and if you have the unblockable special one, you aren't able to go back, to swipe back, to dodge back on that animation before you get clipped. So Agent Venom can cause an insane amount of damage if you've taken that bleed damage on the special one, and also because of the tenacity, it is not a safe strategy to parry like you would so many other defenders. So, very underrated defender on the unblockable special one. Also, real quick, I just want to say that Punisher, similarly, can cause really good damage on an unblockable special one if you are surprised by it. Underrated defender for sure, and an underrated attacker. Just overall, Punisher is one of the better champs in the skill class in my book, even now. Yes, he'll never be Blade, he'll never be Killmonger, but he's still worth talking about. Now, we have flown through the first two classes. We've gone to Mutant. The champ that's going to blow people's minds, and I'm sure they're going to argue with me, but I don't care, is Beast. Beast is such an awkward champion to go against animation-wise that for some reason, I hear all the time from people saying, Prof, can you believe it? My Beast got like 2 kills on Alliance War defense. And I'm like, what node? A lot of times it's like unblockable nodes. For some reason, because his animations are just so quick and awkward, some people just don't like to play him. They're not able to master the timing of evades, even though on paper they should. And when it's the Alliance War, the pressure is on, the anxiety is on, you're going to make mistakes. Now, the traditional champions that you're going to talk about when it comes to unblockable special ones are the 2 Cyclopses. Pretty long animations, long beam. If you're like me and you're trying to time it right for dexterity, and yes, this is like a poor man's version of Iceman, because of course we're not talking about the top of the top, and Iceman is one of the top, so that's why we're not talking about him. It's also why we're not talking about Nightcrawler. If you try to dodge back too early, you're going to get wrecked. Too late, you're going to be wrecked. And Awakened especially can cause some serious damage. So Cyclops, certainly worth noting. And when we scroll down, I actually think I'm going to scroll all the way up to the last person that I hate to fight in Alliance War. And I still do. I've seen this guy pop up as a boss, not this season because he's a little nerfed because of the lack of bleed damage that you can take, because the bleed damage causes degeneration, and that is, if you've only got defenders that use satellite, maybe you should consider switching to Cable. Cable is a pain to fight. Kind of an awkward special one. It doesn't do too much damage, but at the same time, it can be a pain to fight. And I have been clipped by it a number of times, and yes, sometimes it's just unblockable, period. I want you to know that if you have Cable, he still has a lot of use in Alliance War on defense on several nodes. And I am thankful in a way that my Blade doesn't cause the degeneration, because when I accidentally go up against him on a path, even though there's a class disadvantage, I still like to do it. It can be really a huge pain. And I still have nightmares about getting wrecked by Cable in some cases. All right, we are halfway done with classes already, flying right through to the Cosmic class. And we are going to go all the way down and talk about a champ that is good on multiple nodes because the AI is so freaking aggressive, and that is Venom. Now, Venom's special one, it is true, is the easiest to evade of all Venom specials. But if you do not time your spacing correct and you get in a corner and there is an unblockable special one, it is so easy to absolutely get wrecked. So, Venom, great champ for this. You're probably going to expect me to talk about Satan. No, she's terrible. Spider-Man Symbiote is the poor man's OG Spider-Man because it's the same special one animation. You don't have to worry about the evade as much because his Spidey sense is only triggered when awakened after he uses a special attack. But in general, poor man's version, if you need somebody to throw on this node, consider Spider-Man Symbiote, will you? Now, I'm going to spend a decent amount of time talking about champs from the tech class because there are a lot of really, really underrated good options. Even a champ like Punisher 2099, that I think is one of those champs that if Kabam tomorrow removed from the game, most people would not only not notice, but they wouldn't miss him. He has a special one that can be kind of tricky to evade, especially if you're up close. And very similarly, we always talk about frame rate this year because Kabam's used it for some shadiness, especially when it comes to Drax. But I feel like certain champs like Gamora have increased their special one animations to be really quick, and if you aren't prepared, you're going to be clipped by it. And one of those champs is Rocket Raccoon. I hate fighting Rocket Raccoon on an unblockable special one node because occasionally I'll just get wrecked. This is a champion that's very underrated. Yes, it's a glass cannon champion, but special one. Now, besides him, let's talk a little bit about Iron Patriot. This guy gets a terrible reputation, and yes, he should be better, but I think he's far from the lowest of the low in terms of usage. And his special one beam is much longer than Ultron's or Iron Man's, and if you don't time it correctly, kind of like Cyclops, you can get clipped from it. Now, besides that, arguably the best option is War Machine, another champion that's kind of just forgotten about. But can you even evade his special one, right? It's not like some champs such as Agent Venom that have emotion, or Punisher that have emotion that they do before the bullets come out. So technically you don't have to worry about that. War Machine is so good with special one unblockable that this has led people to theorize that he will be the next Grandmaster featured crystal of the 5-star variety, since Kabam has really focused on defenders for the first few when you're talking about Doctor Strange and Electro and Abomination. So I think that's a good theory, even though I will definitely not go for him. So yeah. Oh, and before I forget, not this Vision, but Age of Ultron Vision is number 2. OG Vision, classic Vision, right? The Vision that you can only get from the special give me all your units deals as a 5-star. That Vision with a high sig level, his synthesis automatically gives 1 bar of power. And there have been a couple of times where I went up against him, and I'm pretty aggressive when I start fights. And when I went for a hit, he automatically used his special one, drained my power, and it took a decent amount of health. So OG Vision is a highly underrated, unblockable special one champ as well. Now, I'm not going to spend as much time talking about the Mystic class. They've got a lot of great defenders in this class, but that's part of why I'm making this video, to give you other options. And it's not like I'm going to spend time talking about a Mordo or a Morningstar or even a Mephisto. But I do think a couple of times, this might surprise you, I had somebody tell me once, Prof, I went up against an unblockable special one Juggernaut, and I got trapped in a corner. And now that Juggernaut got buffed and you can't parry him, because if you stun him, you instantly get stagger and he doesn't stun. If you get trapped up in a corner and they have a high level of Mystic Dispersion still active, you are going to get wrecked because you can't parry, you can't move backward anymore. And if Juggernaut keeps spamming those special ones, they're so hard to dodge back and use any kind of dexterity because you can't go anywhere, that chances are you're just going to be wrecked. So, Juggernaut, unblockable special one, trapped in a corner. So, yes, we probably have missed quite a few champs, but I feel like those are the ones I've written down that a lot of people have and maybe aren't using yet. I always appreciate when people comment below and say, hey, Prof, enjoyed the video, but here's a champ you might want to consider. I never have a problem spending more time writing more notes and just making more videos to help the community. This is really what I enjoy most. So, thank you for watching. This is the first volume of many. What node would you suggest I do next? Maybe an unblockable special too? I've already got some champs written down for that, as you probably aren't surprised. Either way, thank you so much for watching and commenting on this video, hitting that like button, and overall just supporting the work I do on this channel, because you all always make the work well worth it. Have a great night, YouTube, and a great rest of your weekend.